Morning, America and the rest of the world. Santa J. Hobson here. Stand-up comedian, entertainer, director and producer of boxing documentaries, and internet troll to those who need internet trolling. This is another episode of The Devil's Advocate, brought to you by the Brilliant Artist Movement. We're trying to build a platform, so do me a favor, subscribe, like this video, hate this video, share it, and leave a comment in the comment section. It could be something nice, or it could be something nasty. But you already know, if it's something nasty, I'm coming for your ass. Because I live for the people who leave nasty remarks in my comment section. Now, before we go any farther, I want to state for the record, although there is a message in this video is a clout chasing cheap shot at Kevin Samuels. Okay, let's put that on the table. So anyway, right, I was watching one of my favorite podcasts, the Star Report, and Star had a fellow on there who was quite knowledgeable about child support. The gentleman had all the stats down pat. Brother had a quote from Judge Joe Brown that said that most black men are current in their child support payments. I found this to be refreshing because most of the times when you hear anything about black people, men or women, it's something negative. So to hear that black men are the most current in their child support payments, that was refreshing to hear that. Another thing that I learned is that Indian men and white men are heavily taxed with child support payments. White men being first and Indian men being second. The brother talked about how the child support system was a racket and how some judges got kickbacks from the child support penalties that they levied against men and women. The brother described how 85% men pay child support versus 15% women who pay child support. Brother had a lot of good points. I learned that a person could get out of child support if they signed away their rights of being a parent. Now, personally, I don't know too many men who would sign away their rights to being a parent, but I'm sure there's some scumbags out there who would do it to get out of paying for child support. It was very interesting. Now, personally, I don't have the horrible experiences of being heavily taxed by child support. And I'm sure if I was in that situation, I would probably have some harsh experiences to share as well. However, my experiences with taking care of my son were a pleasant one. And they were based on the fact that my son's mother and I had a great relationship with one another. And most of the times when there was any turbulence, I was the one that caused it because I was an asshole. With that said, personally, I don't have a problem with men having to pay child support or a woman having to pay child support, no matter how stiff the penalty may be. My position being the parent who has the child the most should be duly compensated for having that child the most. Parenting is a full-time job. And what better full-time job can one have than raising their children? And if the other parent has the luxury of only having the child on a part-time basis, why shouldn't that parent be heavily taxed for only having the child on a part-time basis? I mean, let's look at this, right? If a mother has a child 5 days a week and the father only has a child on weekends and holidays, is it not fair to say that the mother should get more? I mean, come on, let's look at this. We talking about putting them to bed, getting them up in the morning, getting them dressed, preparing their meals, sending them off to school, doctor's appointments, the whole gamut. You mean to tell me that if you're going to answer this question honestly, that parent, in this case we're talking about mothers, but in some case fathers, who has a child the most, should not be duly compensated for having that child the most? Again, parenting is a full-time job, and if you have the misfortune of having to raise a child and have to go to work, Jesus Christ, now you're working a double shift. So why shouldn't that parent be duly compensated? Because again, if the mother or the parent who has the child the most, in some cases the father has the child Monday to Friday, and you have them on the weekend, that's 52 weekends a year, and the mother or the father who has the child the most has it the balance of the year, we'll even make it maybe about 1/3 to 2/3. Why shouldn't the parent that has the child 66% of the time not be duly compensated? And why shouldn't you, the parent who has more free time, not have to take up that slack financially? And in the case of you high value man, let's use a round number. Say a man had to pay $50,000 a month in child support. Yes, this sounds excessive, okay? But if you are a high value man and a judge levels some extreme penalty against you, and just say the number is $50,000, $600,000 a year. If you are a high value man, do you not want your kid to live a high value lifestyle? Now, please understand, when you hear me on these airwaves advocating for sisters mostly, but also for brothers, I'm not advocating for the slimy, no good, twinkle-toed cocksuckers in the forms of males and females. I'm advocating for the good brothers and the good sisters. And in the case right here where we're talking about the mothers of our children, I'm not talking about some floozy chick. No, I'm talking about the good sisters when I make these comments. I'm talking about the good sisters. And again, if you are a high value man or any man, do you not want your child to live a quality lifestyle that you are providing? No amount of money is worth the lifestyle and the well-being and the care of your child. So fellas, we can't be bitching about that kind of stuff. Ladies, if you are in this scenario, we can't be bitching about having to pay the parent that has the child the most money. We can't. Because, see, it's not about, gentlemen, your beef with that child's mother. It's about your relationship with that child. And personally, as a father who was very active in his child's life, I would not have wanted the task and the duties of having to have my son on a full-time basis. Thank God for his stepmother and his grandmother, who took some of the weight off of me, because personally, it is a woman's job to nurture a child, especially when that child is younger. When kids are younger, kids don't give a damn about their father. They want their mother. You know, it's just like the women who breastfeed. Children who are being breastfed, them kids ain't thinking about their father. Them kids want their mother. A mother's job is to love and nurture a child. A father's job is to provide and protect and tear shit up. That's what God put us there for. Sure, a man could nurture if he had to, but it's a tough job. And if you are a man who has the misfortune of losing the mother of your child and the duties of nurturing a child fell into your lap, if you didn't have the grandmothers, your sister or your deceased sister or some female cousins to help you with the nurturing of that small child, my God, that was a virtual hell on earth. So for the reasons that I'm describing, the parent who has the child the most should be duly compensated for having that child the most. And all of this bitching that I hear men do about having to pay the child support, and in some cases it is excessive and it is unjust, but nevertheless, that's your child. If you didn't want to have a child, you should have protected yourself a little better, or you should have stayed with that woman, and instead of having to pay child support, you would have just been the head of the household. Or you should have practiced homosexuality if you didn't want a child. So I think that we've covered that subject. And like I said, if you are a high value man, stop bitching about having to pay child support. That's your child. I'm done with it. Bam!